Welcome back, AD fam. If you're new here, my name's Amanda, my boyfriend's name's Daniel, and we are AD Vlogs. Now, today I have a story time, I have a lesson, and all of this just happened actually yesterday. So it's really fresh, and I feel like I have a message that I need to share with you guys. So I hope that you can take something from this story, make a difference, make an impact on the world, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, and if we work together, I do believe that we can live in a happier, better world. So if you're interested in hearing my story time, my lesson, please make sure to stick around, subscribe, and join the AD fam. I have been off of work all week because I have been feeling really sick. I'm not sure why, but I tested for COVID. I don't have COVID, which thank God, because my entire family has COVID right now. Anyway, so the point is, I've been really sick all week, and so I've been home. Usually, I will not be home until past 7. This incident that happened yesterday happened around 5 something, so I shouldn't have been home, but I was. That's the point. Now, we just got new neighbors next door. They moved in maybe 2 days ago. All of this is very important. Just keep in mind that my neighbors have just moved in, and I was home when I wasn't supposed to be. Now, if you watched our home tour, you will see that we have a huge picture window that looks down, and I can see all of my neighborhood. And so I always look out there when I hear noise because I just want to know what's going on around me. And I heard a little bit of noise yesterday, so I looked out the window, and I saw this elder lady walking down the street with her walker across the street from my house. I thought nothing of it, but I remember seeing her a minute later. I hear my next door neighbor screaming at the top of her lungs, calling for her daughter, repeatedly calling her name, calling her name, calling her name. So I run to my window, and that's that same lady. I'm sorry, it's just like, it really broke my heart when I saw this, but that same lady that I had just seen with her walker laying in the street. Her walker right there, she's laying in the street, which made me think, oh my gosh, this lady just fell. And I'm not kidding. She looked like she was between like 70, 80 years old. So this is first lesson. So initially I thought, she's calling for her daughter. She doesn't need my help. I don't want to involve myself in a situation. But then I remembered, when I used to go to college, I was going to college for psychology. Now there's something called the bystander effect. I can go ahead and attach an actual definition. But if you're not familiar with the bystander effect, it's basically like assuming that somebody else is gonna help with the situation. So that's why, even though if you hear you should go help, everyone else is kind of like assuming that somebody else will help. And why that's bad is because if you're always assuming that somebody else is gonna help, nobody helps because you're putting the responsibility on somebody else. So my advice to you, and this is what I did, was I would rather go and try to help and then be told, they don't need help, than not help and them still needing help, So instantly I see a lady on the ground. I hear my neighbor screaming for her daughter. And it's getting to the point where now she's not screaming her daughter's name. She's like, help, help, somebody help. And so I race and I get my shoes on and I run outside, and the elder lady is on the ground in the street. She had fallen off the sidewalk. And my neighbor was basically cupping her head in her hands as she laid on the ground, so her head wasn't exposed to the hot concrete. And she said, call 911, I need you to call 911. And so thank goodness I went outside, because nobody, I'm not kidding, she was screaming. Not one person came outside, not one. I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand how nobody heard, Like, I don't know, but whatever. So I called 911, And I didn't initially get really close to the lady because my neighbor was assisting her across the street and I didn't want to be all in the business, but I called 911 and I let them know where I was, what had happened. I didn't witness the whole thing, so I had to keep asking my neighbor this, that, you know. And this poor lady was bleeding from her head. Like she had fallen and she hit her head. And I could see that she was bleeding through her hat. There was blood on the street. And, you know, my neighbor told me when I ran over there, she says, you know, when I ran to her, I thought she was dead. Because when she had fallen, I don't know if she knocked the wind out of her, I'm not really sure, but she was unresponsive. And so thankfully, you know, my neighbor, she ran over, she cupped her head, she kept talking to her, hi, like, what's your name? We're here with you. You know, and she was just so amazing in that situation. I just stayed on the phone with 911 until somebody came, you know, a couple cops came, a fire truck, an ambulance, and they all, you know, blocked off my street. And she finally started talking, but it was like heartbreaking, you know. You put yourself in that situation of like, what if that was my mom? What if that was my grandma? And then you just think like, I'm so glad that I was able to help someone. And I hope, God forbid, that something ever happened to my family. But I hope because I was able to be there for somebody else's family, that if something were to happen to my family, that someone will do the same, that they will be there. And not just be a bystander, because you know what, like, we all just trying to make it. We need help sometimes, and you can't expect somebody else to take charge. Who I think the real hero was in this situation was my neighbor. She was so calm, she was so attentive. She knew exactly what to do. I don't know what would have happened if my neighbor wasn't there, if my neighbor had moved in maybe 2 days prior to that situation. Yes, I saw that lady when she was walking. I did not hear her fall. For how long would that lady have been laying on the ground for someone to have seen that she was there? For how long? I only knew that this lady had fallen because my neighbor was screaming. And would I have known to go and cup her head and speak to her? Would I have known to do that? I don't know. Thank God that I called. Thank goodness that I called 911. But I just feel like everyone was in the right space at the right time. And it was just crazy because then my neighbor, you know, once the paramedics got there and they were talking to this lady, my neighbor went across the street to her house and she just lost it. And it was just crazy, you know, like she was so strong for this lady and she was holding it together, and it was just such a beautiful thing that she was able to think beyond herself. She doesn't know this lady. She's not even from around here. She just moved here. And to jump like that, just that quick to help someone. She told me I was so zoned out. And I said, you know what? You were meant to be zoned out because you zoned out, you were able to be brave. You're able to protect that lady from getting any more hurt. And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be sad, but you were strong when you needed to. And I think that's absolutely admirable. And then I'm looking at my neighbor and she has cuts on her arm, on her hand. And I was trying to figure out what had happened because the lady didn't fall on her. What had happened was my neighbor was outside and she heard this lady hit the concrete. She heard this lady's head smack the concrete, which made her come over. So I was like, what happened to my neighbor's arm? Well, I guess earlier that day, she had tripped on the uneven pavement on my side of the street. And thank goodness she had not cracked her head open, but she scraped her arm, she scraped her hand, she hit her head on the tree and still has a headache. You know, at what point do we create change? Do we fix the things that need to be fixed? You know, all of these situations could have potentially been avoided. You know, so I was thinking, and I was like, what can I do? What can I do to try to prevent this from happening in the future? You know, accidents happen, but I feel like at least these two incidences that happened within 24 hours of each other could have been avoided. What am I gonna do? And I always tell myself, and I tell you guys, I wanna make a change in the world. I wanna make an impact. So I sat down and I was like, what can I do? And so I decided to contact the city that I live in. I let them know, you know what, like this isn't okay. Our sidewalks are uneven, people are getting hurt. We need to make a change. We need to fix it. Can we get someone out here? What are we gonna do? I didn't know where to start. I didn't know if anyone would listen to me, but I knew I just needed to start. So I called them and I tried to actually explain to them what had happened. And believe it or not, the police department contacted them last night and let them know of this incident that had happened, of this elder lady falling. So the ball was already rolling, which was awesome because I felt like they took me a little more seriously. But then I tried to explain to them that, okay, I'm so glad that you're gonna have someone come out and look at that. But actually, also in the morning of yesterday, my neighbor had taken a fall too on my side of the street. Is there any way you can have someone come out and look at my side of the street as well? And so she said that she's gonna do her best to make a note and have people come look at my side of the street, as well as the side of the street where that lady had fallen. And then there are certain things that go into it, like I guess like certain parts of the sidewalk are the city's responsibility. Another part of the sidewalk is the homeowner's responsibility. So depending on what that is, we will deal with the steps necessary. But I think just getting someone out here to look at it is huge because so many of my neighbors have almost fallen, have fallen, complain about the sidewalks, and nothing changes. So the fact that I was able to talk to someone and feel like I actually got taken seriously makes me feel so good and makes me feel like we're finally like in the process of change. And it's just like, it just takes just one little thing. And I guess that's why I'm sitting here talking to you guys, because one, if you feel like you need to do something, that is the world calling you and telling you, it's calling you to that. You need to do this. You need to follow that. But also I want to tell you guys, you know what? It takes 1 second out of your day to just make somebody else's day, to make a change. I mean, it's simple as seeing someone on the street and smiling at them because maybe they're having a bad day. You just changed their life for them. You just changed their whole course of their day. You know? And like, I don't know. It was just, I just feel so sad over what happened to that lady. I mean, thankfully, she was talking. She was not specifically aware of everything by the way she was answering the questions, but she was talking, which gives me hope. And 100% praying for that lady in her recovery. You're in my thoughts. And I hope by me calling that we do see a change and we are able to fix these sidewalks, because I just can't stand to see people continuously getting hurt over something that could and should be fixed. So, lesson of the day, AD fam, make a change, make an impact on the world. You can do it. I know you can. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or extravagant, but just spread positivity, spread love, help each other out. If someone is in need of help, you help them. Don't assume that somebody else is going to help them, because that other person that you're assuming might help them could be thinking the same of you. And then this person right here that needs help is getting no help at all. So go, try to help. If they don't need help, at least you tried. Now, I'm not telling you to put yourself in a dangerous, bad situation. I'm not telling you to go get physically involved if it's a dangerous situation. It's as simple as seeing a situation on the street, securing your safety and calling 911 so the proper people can handle it. But don't ignore it. Don't. We need to help each other in this world. We need to protect each other and fight for one another. I know you guys can do it, AD fam. I know you guys are strong and loyal. we all just need some reminding sometimes, you know? So I hope you guys took something from this video. If you did, comment down below a lesson you learned, something you took away from the video, maybe even a situation where you decided not to be the bystander and you did help. Comment anything and everything down below. I love to read and comment back to every one of your comments. I love you all so much. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, AD fam. And until next time.